So a little bit of a bio for some of you who don't know much about Shaina. Now, Shaina, you're on the speaking tour right now. You have been Sarita. Today you're at the university. You're on fire right now. It's like everything's about you, and that's awesome. And for some of you that may want to know a little bit about her, she is also a city police officer, so hopefully you're not parked in the 5-minute zone out front there.
Not a meter maid.
I was like whipping in, I'm like, I better not.
I wish you could handle the ticket I got at the weekend.
So she's a Saskatoon City police officer, making our city nice and safe, and as well she is the co-owner of RYDE Saskatoon, so making our city nice and healthy, and she's also an instructor there, so not only co-owner but instructor. She used to be a U of S basketball player. That's my sport. I love it. So that also is, and she's also a member of Yellow Quill First Nations, a mother of 5. Where do you find time for this? Oh my God. Is your husband here?
He is.
That's him? Oh, there's our token male.
Yeah, right. Right? Everybody.
Way to go. And also, just recently, I know some of you I've shared with my journey with Swinging with the Stars. Well, Shaina also found some time to do some dancing as well, and she won this year's Judge's Choice. So, best dancer
awesome.
over here.
Fantastic.
And she did it, and her partner was a female, so all about female power over here. So no, it was a phenomenal dance. And you also used to be my neighbor that I found out as well.
Oh.
It was little Shaina in the backyard.
Yeah.
Wow, what a list. Born and raised in Saskatoon, and now you're raising your family and raising a business here in Saskatoon. And it's... And I mean, basically, RYDE, there's a philosophy behind it. There's a passion behind it. We're going to learn all about that. So with that being said, everyone put your hands together. Let's get shaken with Shaina.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I get to ask the first couple of questions. Shaina, you've had a successful career as a Saskatoon City police officer prior to starting RYDE, raising a family of 5, as Shawna said. First of all, where do you find the time? How do you strike the balance, which we ask everybody, really? Mm-hmm. And what's the recipe for sanity?
Well, the number one thing I tend to tell people about balance is that I do not feel it exists. Ultimately, you will never find that balance, and I'm no expert. I've never found it either. But you know what? When you kind of look at things, you have to reevaluate continuously on a daily basis that ongoing process of where am I needed now. And sometimes that means you're going to miss important things, and sometimes that means you have to forgo other events, whether that be your family, your business, whatever, an opportunity, because something else is needing you right at that moment, that day, that part in time. And to be fully sane, I guess, you just need to accept that those are the choices you're going to make along the way, and in the end, that's going to be your best choice. So, balance doesn't exist. You're reevaluating.
Yeah.
You're reevaluating at every opportunity. Where am I needed right now?
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to look at it.
Who wants to be perfect anyway?
Exactly. Right. Totally.
So what words of wisdom can you share for someone who finds himself in the position of just starting out a business on their own? And what's the worst advice that you were given?
Well, I was told no a lot of times. I'm obviously a police officer. I don't have a degree in business. I didn't go to school for business. I didn't do any of that. And approaching some banks, they're kind of like, right? And you're like, oh, okay. Really? Because I swear, this is so great. I promise. But that's not good enough. But actually, I had somebody in that industry actually say, "Oh no, you're fine. You'll get approved. Go right ahead. Sign your lease. It's going to work out." And we're like, "Okay, really? Awesome. So great. Here we go." "Oh, just kidding. That's not actually true." And I was like, "But I already signed the lease. What do you?" One step at a time, friends. Not until anything is in front of you and on paper. One step at a time. And I think honestly that was.
But optimism drives
Optimism
the risk
drives.
of an
Totally.
entrepreneur. Yeah.
I mean, we're always dealing with risk, right? At the end of the day, everything's a risk. That was just a really big one.
Yeah. Worked out though.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
So, as I mentioned, this long list of female First Nations, police officer, entrepreneur, mother, wife, U of S basketball player, Judge's Choice dancer, the list goes on. I mean, there has definitely probably been some big barriers, some big shoes to fill and things to overcome. And it seems like you've done so successfully. Share with us some advice that was given to you that has had the biggest impact, whether it was on your life or both, your business as well. And and how did you overcome some of these challenges?
So basically, prior to starting RYDE, I felt like I was in a position where I was just scraping the surface of what I believed I was capable of, what I truly wanted to do and be. And, I really valued the position that I had as a police officer, putting on a uniform, responding to the needs of our community. I found true value in that. But at the same time, I was consistently scraping the surface of what I felt I needed to do and what I could do. Obviously, people are phoning you as a police officer, not when they're having a great day. That's the reality of it, right? Nobody calls you like, hey, you want to go for coffee? No, they're calling you because something pretty traumatic or awful or terrible or whatever it is has happened to them, and then you're responding. So it was just kind of that reactive cycle that was happening all the time, and I've had this inner desire to figure out what else I could do and what else I could be, which I didn't truly know what that was. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what the next step looked like, anything. And, my husband and I, we just feed off of each other all of the time. And I think that's where everything starts for us is those conversations, wherever they take place. We continuously inspire and feed off of each other. So through conversations, we talked about all these different opportunities, because I would come to him constantly like, oh, this happened to me, and I saw this kid, and I saw this happen, and vice versa. And we were like, oh, well, what can we do? What else can we do? And that is my best advice, and my best support comes from him, truly. And he always encourages me to create what I want to be a part of, whatever that looks like. Create what you want to be a part of, right? Like at the end of the day, that's all you can do. And if it doesn't already exist, you got to do it. And that's all there is. Because if it's something you want to be a part of, if there's a need for it, at the end of the day, somebody's got to do it. So why not you, right? Why not you? I think at some point in my career, it was kind of like, well, why not? Why can't you do it? And we kind of looked at each other like, well, I guess we can. I guess we should. Yeah. Let's try. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, what do you find inspiring? Like, you're born and raised, and you have a family here, and your extended family. And so what do you find inspiring about, you said giving back to your community, why don't I? About doing a business here, and how has that not only contributed to the business community, but also to the community in general? What have you done in our city?
Like I mentioned, going at about that 10-year mark in my policing career, I kind of was at this crossroads of, how much more of like this heartache can I feel every single day without doing something about it? I really did feel like I was giving to the community in what I was doing. Yeah. At the time, I was working as a school resource officer. I had 15 schools assigned to me. I was working with kids day in, day out, trying to do my best to provide, talks on safety, on anti-bullying, on any kind of prevention aspect that I could. I was trying to be a role model. I was trying to do all these things. But like I've mentioned, I always felt like, but what else? What else is there? Because I kept seeing these needs in so many kids, and that's what really like drove me more than anything else, is the needs of kids, helpless, right? And I loved being a part of their lives as a police officer. But I also saw their barriers to participation in sport. I saw their moms, single moms, struggling without the availability to provide their kids with certain things. I saw families in crisis going to the crisis nursery. I helped talk a grad through her graduation process that was living at the YWCA. And you're kind of like, oh, these people, they're so resilient, they're so incredible, and they're so amazing. What am I doing? Right? And, living here and seeing that, and seeing these people right in front of you, living the same life in the same city, enjoying the same aspects that I do. How can I help them? Because I was truly lucky. I was blessed with a very supportive family, and I was blessed through the opportunities of a life of sport, and to be able to provide that to somebody else. What can we do to do that? What can we do to give back to these people and rise up all together? And I think at that point it was kind of like, we're gonna dig deep and we're gonna find something else, because Saskatoon's in need. We're in need in so many different areas, and it's right here at home. And for me, all of those different kinds of charities, I saw the need in those, and I needed a way that I could help all of them, not just one. I truly believe in all of those different aspects. So when I actually was kind of inspired, I guess, to take on RYDE, it all started from attending a class in Calgary. And I sat in a spin studio where Sheldon Kennedy was in the class with me, and Brock was also there against his will. And Brock was next to me. he comes. And Sheldon was in front of Brock, and the instructor, who was a friend of mine, actually told me ahead of time, well, Shaina, Sheldon Kennedy's coming. And for those of you that don't know, Sheldon Kennedy started the Sheldon Kennedy Child Advocacy Center in Calgary. He himself was a victim of childhood sexual abuse. He is a strong advocate, and he was creating a space that children and people could find justice. They could seek help, seek guidance. He was fundraising at the time. He was doing all of these things, and yet he was fighting his own internal demons. And I saw him on the spin bike, putting his head down in a dark room, grinding it out, dripping sweat. And the instructor took her big votive candles in this dark room and talked about Sheldon's commitment to the community and what he was doing and what he was giving back, and how we were all coming together to raise these funds for his initiatives. And I was just a sobbing puddle of a mess of a human, because I related so heavily.
That was the sweat.
Well, it was the sweat burning my eyes, yes, but also I was bawling, and poor Brock was like, "Oh, you're embarrassing," because I truly was. It was an incredible light bulb, because I saw the need. I knew who I wanted to help and why. But how do you bridge that gap?
And then you worked out the how.
Right, and then I was like, this is it. This is what I can do. This is how I can connect all of these things. I mean, as a retired, washed-up athlete, at some point you got to have something else to do, right? And I mean, this knee has a lot of pins in it, and there's certain things I just can't do, but I can do that non-impact. So that's what I was doing at big box gyms. And so traveling and taking part of this, I was like, the light bulb, it came on. And this was a way for me to connect all of those aspects and come together to give people what they need. They've, like fitness, community, an opportunity to give back, and an opportunity to give back to all of these different areas and ways. And truly, that was just 100% the light bulb, and the how and the why all came together at once.
Well, I think we're very lucky to have someone like you as a police officer in Saskatoon.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to cry.
Oh.
Anyway, moving on. What's the best investment you've ever made, and why? This could be financial, educational, travel, health, mentorship, or something else that we haven't written down.
You know what? The number one most important thing for all of us to invest in is ourselves. At the end of the day, that's what you're left with. You start with. That's what's there throughout anything. So whether that be your own health, your road back to wellness or to wellness, whatever that looks like, when we invest in ourselves, we're better off to invest in our families, our relationships, our community. And unless we are whole and healthy, we can't do that. We can't do that to the best of our ability. So I always tell people, just, this is not an expense. To come to RYDE, for example, that's not an expense. That is an investment. That is an investment, because the return on your investment is so much greater. Because I can guarantee you're going to be a happier, more positive, fit, well-rounded person when you invest in you.
So keep up with the spas, the massages.
Exactly.
And the nails,
That's
and
your
all that
excuse.
stuff.
Yes.
Shopping, therapy,
100%.
all that. So I always end the question period, the formal question period, with the same question. And so you've inspired us, but who has inspired you, and who has been your mentor? And it can be personally or professionally or both.
You know what? Growing up, my parents, I distinctly remember as a child, my mom pulling over to a family caught in the rain with a baby, and they were strangers on the street. She pulled over, and I mean, this is in the 80s, so maybe people are less inclined to do these things in this day and age, but she pulled over, and I was kind of like, what's going on? I think I was maybe 6. And she was like, well, we can't leave these people, and they're struggling to get home with their groceries that they're carrying and their baby and all this stuff. And so she told them to get into our vehicle, and I was kind of like, hey, I'm not supposed to talk to them. Like, what's up with this? So I was kind of processing this kind of selfless, sometimes we just got to help people, right? You just got to help people. And I kind of was like, okay, yeah. And that's just one of the distinct things I remember. And then throughout life, I grew up as a part of the air show, for example. My dad, for years and years, long as I can remember, and he never served in the military. He wasn't even a part of it, but he just truly has this inner calling to recognize the people that have selflessly acted for our freedoms, for our country, for our way of life. And he gets teared up every time he talks about it because he just values that aspect of people so truly much that he has taken time year after year to put on these events. And truly, if I look back, that's what inspired me to put on a uniform. I saw these people. I felt so much gratitude for what they were willing to give up, what they were willing to do. And I wanted to stay home, but at the same time, putting on a uniform seemed like a pretty good answer for me. And so definitely both of my parents in different ways, that those selfless acts, those ways that they connect with people, the way that they gave back 100%, that's part of me and my blood. Secondly, the people that inspire me every single day are the people that I come into contact that are in need. Nobody has inspired me more than some of the kids. I get really emotional. When you look in the face of a child that needs something, but they're so selflessly acting in their own way. I told a story today at the university, for example, that I was at a school in the neighborhood, and it was Christmas time, and the class was opening gifts. So they had what they call a giving tree. They colored these angels. They wrote their name on them. On the back, they wrote their one gift that they would love to have for Christmas. And these were hung at a business or corporation. The employees would select one. They would purchase that gift, wrap it up, put the angel back on like an address label, and they would bring it back. And then they would all get taken to that classroom. And as a school resource officer, I tried to take part in events that were happening in my schools. And I sat in the room, and I thought this was so great that I was going to come be a part of this. And then I sat there, and I watched these 5- and 6-year-olds take their turn, sitting patiently, filled with so much joy and kinship, watching one another get their one perfect gift. And they would cheer for each other, and they would smile for each other. And I was just like, because I have these 5 kids that they tear through Christmas, and I'm not saying they're not grateful, but I think we're all like that. That's how Christmas is at most of our fortunate households, right? And then I saw these kids, and I was like, oh man. And I heard one little boy quietly pull his teacher aside and say, Miss Reed, I don't want to open my gift today. And she was like, oh, buddy, why? Like, everybody wants to see it. We all want to share in this with you. And all your classmates are so excited for everybody. And he's like, but I would like to save it so I have something to open Christmas morning. I can't even put into words what that did to me. In a police uniform, in a school, it changed me. Those little moments impact you so deeply that you can't help but feel a need to do something. Yeah. Like, who can walk away from that the same? You can't. So the more of those things that you hear and you see that face, that's my inspiration, because I don't forget those. That never leaves me. How I felt and the looks on those kids' faces, it doesn't go away. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, when you're able to write a check to something or to support an organization, and I know what that face looks like, who it's going to, that's it.
Sounds like an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, very much.
This is where I open it up to the floor. So if we have any questions out there for Shaina.
Oh, Brock, what's the secret? We're going to Mexico on Monday.
Without the kid?
Without the kid.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Kid number 6 coming up.
No. You know what? It's so we get each other, and I think there's nothing to hide. We're truly so proud of one another that it doesn't matter which one of us might have had a more successful day or a better experience, or we are truly so proud of each other. Like there's certain aspects that he'll, and he's a police officer as well. So, and he works in a really challenging section right now. It's called our targeted enforcement. So he gets all the investigations that don't result in death. So any personal violence of any level that doesn't result in a death, he may investigate. So some really traumatic experiences and things that are happening. And, and he'll come home and tell me this is who he met and this is what he did and this is how he connected people. And I have so much respect and gratitude for what he did for that person, right? Or how he just went that little bit extra. And I think he reciprocates that with, he came to the university today, he came here tonight. You make each other a priority, and you make a point to say how proud you are and how much you respect them. And how much love and admiration goes both ways. And that takes a big man, right? That, not just in size, because you're a hunky babe, but that takes a big man to really, put his other half up where she deserves to be when that recognition is there, right? Yeah, right?
Good
exactly.
job.
Yeah.
Big hand. Big hand for the big man.
Exactly.
I think Shawna and I's partners, like husband partners, they feel like a purse holder at times.
Oh yeah, they are that, 100%. Yeah, but at the end of the day, he's equally responsible for everything. Like on paper, yes, I'm the co-owner of RYDE, and a lot of times, it's me doing these things, but he is truly equally there. I mean, he does everything behind the scenes that I can't do or don't have time to do or whatever it looks like. And he's still answering the call all the time to help me in every aspect. And you know what, truly, he cooks almost all of the meals in my house. So that's another way. I have all these things happening, but he literally cooks all the meals for our kids and does all that. So we're just, yeah, right?
You have a brother.
I know.
Is it sausage and potatoes?
Yeah, exactly. And he's phenomenal. No, but you take on what role you need to do. Oh,
Nice
so
one.
good, yes. I actually mentioned again in my speech today that in my second year university, so I would be about 20, I was really proud of the fact that I wore sweatpants every day for a year in university. Okay, I'm not kidding. I was like, this is awesome. Like every day. But you know what? Social media didn't exist. Or cell phones, so nobody documented that. But I legitimately thought that, I was really proving to myself that I was dedicated to school and dedicated to basketball, and social status didn't matter. But I was truly actually so head in the sand that I didn't know what existed outside of where I was at the time. And truly getting to this point has been an evolutionary process of recognizing need and opening my eyes to the world around. And I would just have loved to have known that sooner. Like, truly just open your eyes, look around you, and feel that respect and gratitude for why you're here right now. Because it's not just, your parents are supporting you, you're doing all these things, but look beyond that little inner circle, because, there's a kid in the second row that would have loved for you to walk up and give them a high five, right? There's things around you that you need to pay attention to, and I didn't realize that until later. So I think just really opening my eyes to people around and to need around, and in the end, that's truly what fulfilled me as a person, and I know that that's part of my purpose and my drive, and I would have loved to have known that earlier.
I've got a question. Sorry, I can do this. I'm a host. So you got a large family, and they always say that you kind of. Somebody told me, and I thought it was really cool. You're given the kids that you're supposed to have to make you better. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that? And how has being a mother impacted how you see the world?
Oh gosh, yeah. Obviously, like for all of us, our kids are our heartstrings. They're truly like that extension of us. And for me, I'm blessed in even more ways, because I have 2 daughters that I can take credit for birthing, and I have 3 stepkids that I parent as my own. So that's a totally new challenge to step in that type of a role. And I think for me, there's certain things like you hear your 16-year-old who's too cool for school say to somebody else, and it comes back to you. that they were talking about what you were doing, like proud, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a 16-year-old son in high school telling someone else that gets around and comes back to you that, oh, your kid was saying this is what you were doing at school, but they wouldn't say it to your face, like, oh, they're proud, you're so cool, you're all these things, right? But it came around. It's like those little feats of you're noticing stuff, right? You're noticing things, and yes, win, right? You're paying attention, and just kind of those little things, or like, my 8-year-old, 2 years ago, I cut my hair and I donated it, and that was just, we've all, well, not all of us, but people have done that. It's not a huge thing, but it was a few months later, and she was like, well, Mama, I want to cut my hair, and donated it. And so I was like, oh, right? Like, yes, lots of people have done it, like I said, but when your own kid does it after you did, you're like,
Yeah.
And, you see them paying attention. And I look at how much I valued my parents, like I mentioned. And so you think that they're seeing this, and somehow they're shaping who they want to become and what they want to do based on your actions.
And
that is right. That is a tremendous responsibility, right? And also just a tremendous privilege to have that kind of impact on kids and on your own kids. And you think about, what are they going to say about you, and what are their kids going to say about you at the end of the day when they hold up that picture and you're someone that's now passed on, and what are they going to say about you and their family? What's your legacy going to be? So it's important, and I look at that as an incredible opportunity to shape these little kids. And I have that same extension in the community. That's actually how I feel about it. So, yeah. You know what? Obviously, and anyone in here knows, when you're a budding entrepreneur, that balance that people think exists is far lower, because there's a period of time that it requires much more of your attention than down the road. But that's our sacrifice, right? That's what we're willing to put in for that grander reward at some point. So we do know that this is the most difficult phase that you're going to go through. The initiation, that first year of business, that second year of business, whatever that looks like, that is the most challenging and difficult position. In terms of, parenting and doing all of that, I think there's a lot of times I've had to have those conversations with my kids, and, Mama can't be there at this or this, but I'm going to do this, and then we're going to do that after. So kids are kids. They understand when they're told what's happening and where you're doing things. And in the end, you hope that at some point they're going to feel the same reward as you. And in terms of who you're surrounding yourself with, at the end of the day, all of us, if you're not with somebody that's going to continue to lift you up, they're not part of your journey anymore. Yeah. They've served their purpose. Because anybody that's jealous, anybody that's going to bring you down in any way, and we've talked about this before, they're no longer worthy of your presence and your journey and your eventual success. So they don't need to be a part of that anymore. And you know what? I've been really blessed. Like Jackie, for example, has been like my best friend since we were in grade 9. And through parenting, through doing all these things, when you continue to come and support one another, you know who your real friends are, right? That are totally like, and they're there and they're not going anywhere. So you find those people and you hold on to them.
And ask for help.
Yeah, that's right.
And surround yourself with this. This is really positive.
This is it.
These
Absolutely.
women,
Like that's what I like this event and why it's about, because right now you've learned something or have heard something, and there's a lot of women that are thinking the same thing. So
Exactly.
these smaller events are great.
Totally.
It might look easy, but behind the scenes, it's all falling apart.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
It's really falling apart.
Yeah.
So this is the fun round where we get to know a little bit more of the quirkiness in Shaina here, and I love this section. So it's 7 questions because 7's my favorite number, and I'll let you start with your first question that you want to ask her.
So what is the top item on your bucket list?
Go to a TED Talk.
Oh, that's a
Like, I am obsessed with watching TED Talks on YouTube.
So
Honestly, I like, if you haven't got into this yet, 100%. I actually have like a dedicated TED Talk notebook. So when I watch them, I write who they are and the date of it, and then I make notes of all the amazing things, and I rewind it and make sure I read it properly. and I make notes of all of the incredible things that those people say.
Yeah, you should do a TED Talk.
Right? Oh my God.
That is great advice. I love that.
Oh, it's so fantastic.
Because I know I watch it and then I'm like, oh, there was some great messaging.
Yes, right?
Oh, I should.
No, I pause
Yeah.
it, rewind it, yeah.
Awesome.
Do a playlist on YouTube.
Right. Yes.
So, last book you've read or currently reading?
Two Turns from Zero was the last one I read. It is by Stacey Griffith, and she is a Soul Cycle instructor in the United States. So kind of like that American initiation of the spin studio world. Soul Cycle was started by two female entrepreneurs in New York City. They started with, one studio. They moved to 7 studios, and they actually sold their concept for $90 million each. Oh. Right? Incredible. Yes. So now Soul Cycle. I know, right? Right. Yeah.
But you have Saskatoon on the end.
I know, right? I know.
Right,
no, so
Canada.
Exactly. There's an airport code in every place. But they have these incredible motivating people that are part of their greater team. And these are the people that wear the headsets every day, and they're coaching their people through this. And so she's just one of their elite head coaches, I guess, instructors. And she wrote this book, 2 Turns from Zero, and it's about transforming your life, like turns at a time. And she's kind of a motivational speaker as well, as most of the instructors are. And I just, it's all about your own journey. It's not just about spin itself, but obviously that drew me to it. And I'm not going to lie, I have like 3 or 4 books to take to Mexico. I don't know what's going to happen, including the one I just got today from Dr. Nasser. So Dr. K. Nasser, okay. Yeah. Today I had lunch with him at the university, and if you don't know, he taught at the university for 33 years in engineering. He is responsible for building an incredible amount of property in Saskatoon. They came from Lebanon in the 60s. He has a PhD. He does all these things. His wife is highly educated as well. And they have given $13 million to the University of Saskatchewan. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't include what they've given to the hospitals in the city,
As
doing
terrible immigrants coming here and donating.
Right, terrible. I know. So I had an incredible opportunity to have lunch with him today, and so he gave me his book and wrote in it too. So I was like, and it's about making your own dreams come true. So I was like, yes, this is just such a gift. So that's on my next.
There you go. You just won $1 million. What do you do next?
I'm not gonna lie. I would retire from the police service and continue to pursue my community passions. That would kind of enable me. I mean, we can all say, oh, just live your dreams, take your dreams. When you have 5 kids, you still have mouths to feed and hockey to pay for and all of these things. It's not quite that easy. But that would be my opportunity.
You have a knack for, and don't say dancing.
Oh, but is
writing.
it dancing?
Yeah.
I just learned that one. You know what? I would like to say that I have a knack for bringing out the best in people. I think through RYDE and opportunity to connect with people, I'd like to think that I have ability to draw out what's good in them and encourage them to hold on to that.
Who is your ideal dinner guest, dead or alive?
I actually talked to Brock about this on the way here. And
it's supposed to be like
I know. I actually no. But I told him, if I could hang out with one person, 10 years ago I would have told you Michael Jordan, right? Well. But I've realized that throughout my life, that me as a kid growing up, my mom would attest to this if she was able to make it tonight. I would call her repeatedly and tell her what was on Oprah and what happened. And I would be bawling because of these amazing people coming on Oprah and what Oprah was doing and all these things. So I'd be remiss to not say Oprah Winfrey. Yeah.
This sounds so odd because everything that's coming out of your mouth is so sweet, but you have to have a pet peeve.
People that lick their cutlery.
Oh, see, it's still sweet. Like,
no, like I'm sorry. You have that bite. Why? No, can't deal. And also, I hate when the shower curtain touches me.
Oh,
like right?
Oh my God, that's a new one.
Right? Isn't that it? It's awful though. Nobody likes that. Yeah.
Oh, it is bad.
Yeah, it's terrible, especially if you're in a hotel.
Yeah,
It's
hotel
cold
shower.
if you're in a
Same reason.
hotel.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're not staying at the right hotel.
Good one. Okay, tell us one fact or that people don't know about you or a hidden talent that you have.
I really enjoy fishing. I don't know if it's a talent. I feel like I can catch some decent sized fish, right, Brock? Yeah.
Where do you go? Like which?
Delaron Lake. We try to go to Delaron, and do some fishing. Hidden talents. You know what? I think I'm crafty, which is kind of a different thing. I don't have as much time for crafting anymore, but I used to collect like antler sheds and paint them and stuff and gift them to my friends. A lot of times Jackie can attest to like my gifts, my Christmas gifts and things to my friends are things that I've made and created. So and you know, like when Brock and I got married, I made all of the decor and made big dream catchers, and I made our table centerpieces because I just feel like it's that much more special and beautiful to create yourself. So maybe kind of being crafty a little bit.
Crafty and a fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, we've got to know a little bit about her story and her journey, and also some of the quirkiness side of you as well. If you want to stick around and ask some questions, I'm sure Shaina will be here. But with that being said, let's give her a round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.